What's up with all that knitting in the show and all the yarn in Wong over the Cuckoo's Nest? And it very much was evidence of how stressful it was to take on such a ridiculously huge topic all alone and try to fix the problem with the show. I was so stressed out trying to figure out how I was going to make the show where I was going to save everyone's life, not make it about me, make it funny, and get lots of grant money doing it, that I would just be so overwhelmed. I would just find myself on my couch crying and knitting and knitting. And I became obsessed with knitting. I was like, in the middle of the night, I'd buy big lots of yarn on eBay and just, you know, it was classic hoarder syndrome. It was like, ooh, presents! I got, like, someone sent me yarn in the mail. And I just couldn't, like, it was an escape because the show was going nowhere. Like, making the show was going nowhere, yet if I knit on a knitting needle, you know, your progress would show on the needle. Like, even if you're just kind of not thinking about it, it's growing. And that was very comforting to me. It was comforting to me to hold all this yarn in my hand. And I was just like this crazy yarn hoarder. There was yarn under my couch and under the bed, and even my friends were just like, what's up with all the yarn? All the knitting that you see in the nest of the pre-show and on the stage, those were not actually made by me. I did a call out for knitters all over the world to send me their unfinished knitting items because I felt like unfinished knitting, everyone has like an unfinished scarf or project that they're meaning to finish but they haven't quite finished, and it carries with it a lot of guilt, and sometimes it's hard to pick up again. And to me those were representative of unfinished lives or unfinished intentions. And I'd have people write me a little about what the project was and what brought them to knitting, and it helps me as a performer and actor on the set be able to see different people with me. That it's not just like, this is just Kristina, but oh look, it's that woman in Canada whose handwriting flushes the other way. Oh, it's my friend Mark in Arizona who knits superhero costumes. Oh, look over here. It's the woman from Chicago who learned to knit to pass the time when she was in dialysis. So these are all these different people and lives that are on the stage with me in this very subtle way. And I thought that rather than show pictures of women who had committed suicide and put people under that kind of microscope on my stage, that I would instead create puppets for people in the form of this unfinished knitting. So rather than show a picture of my grandmother, my friend Tammy, or my own mother, it was better for me to show this kind of knitting that was slowly unraveling in this subtle way that wasn't quite done right. I also invite audience members to knit with me as they watch the show. So that is like a subtle soundtrack. You hear like the clicking of needles and this kind of quiet making of things happening. And it's a nice little subtle chorus to the action happening on stage.